this is the FIT AMC studio control room, and I just wanted to give you guys a tour of the control room area. It's going to be a quick tour. We have first the station here, which is engineering, and this is where all of the video is recorded and also played back. So we might have a show where we look at clips and maybe an anchor, and then they say, well, let's take a look at this video. So all that is being done by the technician, so that we are making a good quality recording. Then we have a still store and video playback device here, and this will allow us to store clips that you guys record. So for instance, let's say you're doing an interview and you have a shot of something that someone is talking about during the interview, you can play that back, roll it into the interview. The next station here is, again, engineering. This is where the cameras are matched. So the technician has control over the brightness and the color of the camera, and they can shade the cameras so that they all look the same. See that being displayed also on the scopes. During the actual production, the director is sitting here. So the director is watching all of the action on these preview monitors. So these preview monitors show the 3 camera angles that are available in the studio. And also there's a bank of preview monitors here that show all the other various video assets. So we can see, you know, the frames on the bottom there. We have the FIT shot, we have a shot of the subway, and those are all coming from that digital playback device. Moving on, we have the station here. This is where the technical director works, and the technical director has control over all of the vision changes. So any kind of video that you change from camera 1 to camera 2 or from camera to playback, this is being done by the technical director, but of course it's the director who is cueing any of those transitions. So I'm going to show you the whole station here. You can also see up top the 2 big monitors. So the preview monitor is showing us what's going to be on air, and then the program monitor is showing us what's on air. So I'm going to ask Mark to, let's put black on program. So we're using the top bus of the switcher to do that. And on the bottom bus, then we have the DVR, which is showing the train station. So now if the director says, make a dissolve from black to the train station, we can see that dissolve being executed now by Mark. He's using the T-bar, and you can see as he completes the dissolve, then the image is toggled. So now what we're recording or putting on air is the subway image, and preview is black. And let's say now we wanted to go to the FIT building. I would ask him to ready or preview the FIT building, which is coming from one of the previews there. So there it is on the preview. And now again with the T-bar, we can make it dissolve. So dissolve to FIT. You can see how they toggle back and forth like that. So remember, whatever's on program is what's being recorded, and then what's on preview is what's coming up next. So typically you would ready the shot that's coming up next. So let's say I was to say, ready the tulips. You see the FIT shot there with the tulips. The other one, Mark, the one that's red tulips. DDR1, is it? Yeah. So now make the transition, and we can make that dissolve transition. We can also toggle it with other transitions like a cut. So I could say something like take FIT. Okay, so there we are. We're in the studio now. This is one of the cameras that's looking at all 3 shots. And all 3 chairs, sorry. The other thing we can do is add titles. So there's a facility on the switcher called the DSK, and that's the downstream key. And when Mark presses that, we're getting the titles. Now lose titles, just kind of like a light switch that comes on and off. So we can see those titles there, and the titles are being generated by this computer. Okay, so this computer here is where the graphics person is working, and you can see they have their own preview monitor where they're testing the titles and composing them, so we can have various titles for the show or lower thirds or talent, and also a credit roll here at the end. So you can see that credit roll is rolling there. And Mark, now can you bring it on air for us? And you'll see how it appears over the actual the other station then is the audio station. And with audio, You have basically the same thing that's going on with the switcher. We're controlling all the various audio assets. Typically, it would be the microphones of the talent that's in the studio, so the hosts and the guests, but also things like music and other sound effects can be available here in the audio section. So Mark is playing some music for us, and can we fade that music up? Hear how the music is coming on the speakers. Now fade it back down. Yeah, so the idea is that, you know, the audio engineer is monitoring and kind of mixing cleanly so that all the signals are at the same level or the proper level, like the host and guest, and the music is not drowning anybody out. We also have a timer here, and that's going to give us, you know, our running time for what's going on in the studio. Obviously, a lot of times we want to make sure that we are the exact time that we need to be to make the, you know, the marketing video or whatever. So I guess we can also take a look over here. We have a nice sound recording booth. And let me go in there and show you what's going on. So in the sound recording booth, you're basically sitting here, you're watching the same images that we're sending outside. So for instance, if you were doing a voiceover narration, you could be watching the images and you could be doing the narration in sync with what's going on. Obviously, you're on the microphone, but also you have a headset which allows the director to communicate to you. So you're hearing your cues on that headset. Okay, very nice. So here we are in the studio. We have a double height studio here, which allows us to have a lighting grid that's elevated 14 feet above the floor. And that allows for better kind of lighting and control of the lighting. What else is going on in the studio is we have total isolation from the outside world. You'll notice that there are no windows. So the studio is isolated. We can control the lighting. We don't have to worry about sunlight coming in or anything like that. The same thing with sound. It's soundproof to the point where we don't hear any of the traffic on the street. And again, we're, you know, in control of isolating the sound. What else you might notice is a very kind of flat floor. And that flat floor allows you to dolly the cameras. You can see the cameras here are on wheels. So that'll give you a nice smooth move of the cameras. And then there are intercoms on each camera. Again, the intercom system is critical to the studio to allow communication. Intercom means intercommunication, so that the director can communicate back and forth with the floor manager and the camera operator on the floor. We have also various backgrounds. Maybe we can pull the curtain, Mark. We have the black background here, and obviously another background. You know, you can obviously set up various backgrounds. We have a blue screen, which is like a green screen. It allows you to mask out that blue color and replace it with something else, so we can have the illusion that you're not in the studio anymore. You might be sitting at a restaurant or sitting in a park or something like that. We also have a moderate amount of other backgrounds that you can use in various lighting. And you guys can bring in your own props, obviously, to enhance your program with that. What else? So obviously, we have the 3 cameras. I'm going to get to them in a little bit more detail in a second. Obviously, in a multi-camera studio, you need to have at least 2 cameras. We have 3 in this studio. We also have floor monitors. So there are floor monitors here. You can see Mark is on camera, and we have 2 floor monitors so that we can play back. So that, for instance, if you're doing an interview and maybe during the interview you're rolling in a clip, the person who's being interviewed can say, well, what you're watching in this clip is me composing, painting, cooking, whatever you're doing. And we also have speakers here so we can hear what's going on in the studio. For instance, again, if a band was playing, they'd be able to monitor themselves and hear the playback. So the idea of getting feedback is an important part of the studio production. Maybe we could take a better look at the cameras. We have a pool mic here. You know, just take a look at each one of these cameras and some of the controls. So the camera is composed of three main parts. This one has a teleprompter on it. Maybe we look at this one, actually. It might be a little cleaner, just to kind of demonstrate without the prompter. So the camera head itself has three parts. The lens captures the light, and then the electronics of the camera changes the light into a video signal, and the operator gets to see that signal on the viewfinder. So they can monitor the signal and obviously see what the camera is focused on, to get a good idea of, the composition and the framing and things like that. Every one of the pedestals has locks, and it's very important to understand how the locks work. So that is the tilt lock. You'll notice that Mark is tilting the camera up and down now. And can you lock it again, Mark? So when it's locked, you don't want to force it. You don't want to be tilting it when it's in the lock position. This keeps the camera steady when it's unattended. But again, if you wanted to use the camera, you want to unlock it again. So we'll unlock that. And now we can pan the camera left and right. We can tilt the camera up and down. And of course, we can use the zoom lens. So I'll show you the controls here for that. This is the zoom rocker, which allows you to zoom in and out. And on the other side, you have the focus control, which allows you to bring the image in focus. So, what you want to do when you're focusing the camera is to zoom in all the way on the subject. So zoom in all the way until you can't get any closer. I mean, Mark is just going to pick something here like those cables, and you'll notice now that he is zoomed all the way in and using the focus control to get critical focus where it's nice and sharp. And the best way to tell that you're in focus is to kind of go in and out of focus. And this way you can, get a nice clean shot. And now when you zoom in and out, you'll always be in focus. If you don't preset the focus or calibrate it, you might find that it looks like it's in focus. What can we maybe demo that on another shot, Mark? If it pick another object to focus on. So pull out all the way. So if you notice that when we're pulled out all the way, it looks like it's in focus here, but now zoom in on the Chrysler building. Notice that when you zoom in all the way, it is out of focus. So it has to be, now focus it. You'll have to get it in focus. This may not register that well on the recording, but that's the idea behind that. That you want to make sure that you zoom in all the way and check your focus. Obviously, when you guys come back into the studio, you can get more of a firsthand, interactive look at things. But thank you for participating in our studio interview. And there's Mark.